Welcome back to Fantasy Turf War, the coolest fantasy football league on the planet. Normally, I've got a note from our commissioner, Corey, who is on assignment in Antarctica. A little disappointed I didn't see a note out there from him, but I do know he had reached a new cold temperature out there. I don't even want to tell you how cold it was, but I could just tell by the video and the pictures, and you could just feel it. This is season 2, episode 12 of our 88th episode. We got a lot to get through today. And as is true every week, I have my friends here to get me there. Let's bring in my co-host, Adam from the Fantasy Couriers, and Susan, who is, of course, the Gridiron Goddess. How are you guys doing?
Hello.
A little battered and bruised.
Battered and bruised. Yeah, I can commiserate with that.
It was a bad week.
Absolutely.
4 wins.
How bad? 4 wins, and you have a plethora of
13 or 14 teams.
Oh, yeah. My gosh. So tell us who you guys are. Introduce yourselves, please.
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. I am Susan. I'm the Gridiron Goddess. Find me on Instagram, TikTok. My content's mostly for beginners, and at the Gridiron Goddess down here. And Adam, I also was at 4 wins, but I'm not in quite as many leagues as you. But it was a rough week.
It was rough. I either obliterated or I totally got obliterated. Like I'm talking, I lost by like 100 points in a couple of leagues. Like some guys just exploded.
Oh my gosh.
I'm Adam, DJ Dove from the Fantasy Couriers. You can see all of our stuff on fantasycouriers.com. But yeah, this was a week where I had just guys set records. I've got 2 teams. They're two of my better teams. In one league, I had last week the 3rd highest score, lost. This week I had the 4th highest score, lost. Another league, I have the 3rd highest score, lost. So
this is why you play against the median. This is why playing against the median should be a thing in every single league.
That is funny.
Explain that sometime. Explain that to
Okay, so there's a setting in Sleeper where you would get 2 wins or 2 losses or 1 win and 1 loss. So you get your head-to-head matchup, but then there's the league median score, the direct score of the middle of all of the scores, the one that's in the middle. If you beat it, you get a win. If you don't beat it, you get a loss. So sometimes you go 2-2 for a week because you did really well. Sometimes you go 1-1. You either won or lost your week, but you beat or lost the median. And then you could also go 0-2 for the week where you lost both things.
Cool. I love that wrinkle. I love that because we said last year, boy, if you hit a certain number of points, chances are you're going to win. It wasn't always true, but at least there's kind of that median concept there. That is awesome.
Yeah. It helps. The teams that make it to the playoffs are the teams that really deserve to make it to the playoffs because there's none of that wonky what happened to Adam.
Yeah, I've been a part of that on the flip side where I had the hardest schedule and I put up almost the most points and barely made it to the playoffs. Not fun when you're playing that clock watching game week in, week out. Boy. Yeah, I had players who balled out week 1 like Henry and then decided not to show up stat wise week 2.
Who?
That does not help. That does not help. King Henry. Yeah,
I don't know who that is. He had 3 points this week. He must be a backup.
It was bad.
Backup based stats. Yeah.
Imagine you had King Henry and Drake London.
Oh well, I played against Drake, so I wasn't
deep breath.
feeling bad. Yeah,
deep breath.
It's a deep breath week.
I also want to welcome our audience who's watching us. Make sure you tune in to the end of the show to find out who won last week's trivia contest, and you have a chance to again enter this week's contest. This is going to be cool. So what a wild week for football between the ultra highs of last minute heroics and the ultimate lows with injuries and heartbreaks. There were so many storylines this past weekend. I, of course, am a Cowboys fan, so I watched the Cowboys-Giants game. 77 points scored most of the week, combined points for anybody. They only had 36 points going into the final quarter. 3 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes of regulation, plus the 64-yard field goal from Aubrey as time expired, and then for him to have a field goal to win it in overtime. I also had neighbors on my team. So it's like I'm cheering for Giants and run the score up as possible. But then I'm conflicted because I'm a Cowboys fan. You want your team to win, but really when it comes down to fantasy football league, I need the points for my team. My allegiance goes out the window to about December probably. Another wild finish, the Colts. They had a last-second field goal miss. I don't know if you guys saw that. And then he had a penalty on the last play, gave him another shot. Winner. So that's got to be heartbreaking.
Traitor.
But you want to talk about heartbreaking, we're going to talk quite a bit about quarterbacks today. Burrows, Daniels, McCarthy, Purdy, Fields. What stood out most in you guys' mind after week 2 or from week 2?
Oh, my goodness. It's inconsistency is what I saw a lot. Like there's you're looking, I mean, even look at Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was a downer this week. Like I think I messaged you all. I did a trade this week where I traded away Justin Jefferson to get JSN and Breece Hall in a dynasty because my running backs were trifling, and I think JSN's going to be good. I think Susan and I are talking. We're both on the sort of the same page with JSN being a good feature asset, and it sucked because I like Justin Jefferson a lot, but JSN outscored him, so I'll take it. But yeah, there's some guys that just it's 1 week, it's not a career. But Jason's younger, but it's just they're I'm trying to figure out who's good and who's not, or who's rising, who's not up there. Like Boutte, we're like, Booty, we're like, yeah, we got him. He got a touchdown, and then he disappeared. I was like, yes, because I picked up a lot of plays, and then I messaged you there. It's like, yes, and then he just sort of faded into Miami.
Literally the one catch.
Yeah, but it got me the point.
Made the highlight reel.
But I think that's what it's. I still don't know who's good or not. And I'm trying to figure that out because it could
that's my big. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that's my biggest takeaway is that we're still in data gathering mode. There just has been too much variant already to really make concrete decisions and takes and to claim that a take was right or wrong. It's too soon for that in the season, just based on what we've seen in these 2 games.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We're going to bring this group our hottest takes, our best ideas and pickups and things like that week in, week out. But again, we don't know how the week's going to play out the following week. We're just saying, based on what we're saying, here's what we think. I mean, like last week, we talked about 4 quarterbacks last week. 2 had great days, 2 not so great in week 1. Some of them did a 180 week 2. I did not expect, but as a fantasy team owner, there's always that fine line between brilliance and blunder as a fantasy football owner. So who do you trust at this point? I mean, we have a very small sampling, just 2 weeks in. So we're going to talk more about that tonight. But one thing is for certain, we have a partner we always give a shout out to on our show. So with that, Susan, take it away.
All right, so let's take a quick time out to shout out our partners at Alpha Clash, the indie comic book trading card game that turns every match into a lore-driven battle for glory. Whew. In the Alpha Clash universe, superpowered contenders collide in a fast-paced game that perfectly blends fun and competition. Build your deck, unleash devastating abilities, and outmaneuver your opponents in a game that is as much about brains as it is about bold moves. The artwork will pull you in, the gameplay will keep you coming back, and the growing global community awaits. Head to alphaclashtcg.com and start your journey today. That's alphaclashtcg.com. It's time to enter the clash. Alpha Clash has also generously donated booster packs where you at home can win starting this month.
Excellent. So the title of today's show is Blunders. Anyone have a spare quarterback to spare? So week 2 is come and gone, and we're seeing some trends, some roster gaps. Not good if you're in that situation, but again, we are only 2 weeks in. Each week, we're going to try to aim to give the audience actionable information and takeaway for your team to try to gain that tactical advantage for the week. There is a lot of noise every week, so we'll try to cover what we think is going to be most relevant for you. But this is meant to be an interactive show with our audience. So as we go through some of our takes and information, feel free to chime in on any of the platforms we are streaming in. We'll pull in some of the comments in the feed so everybody can see and discuss. Who do you agree with? And if you disagree with us, that's fine too. Let us know that too. So again, I think one of the big storylines this week, unfortunately, was quarterback injuries. Now with 5 big starters potentially out next week. Corey says 6 if you count Deshaun Watson. Ouch. But if you did not at least pick up a viable backup for your team, I would normally say it's time to go ambulance chasing, but the ambulance has already left, and now we need to pick up the pieces. Right now, according to what we see, what we're hearing, we've got potential for these quarterbacks to be out for week 3. Jaden Daniels with a knee. Justin Fields, he's in concussion protocol. J.J. McCarthy, ankle. Brock Purdy, toe and shoulder. We're expecting 2 to 5 weeks to be out. And unfortunately, Joe Burrow, turf toe. They're talking surgery. Maybe looking at mid-December at best to get back. Could be the season. So we're going to talk about some quarterbacks that may or may not fit your needs. So what do we make of some of these players from week 2? We've got a small list here. We had a list last week and talked it through. Is it a fluke? Maybe was it opponent driven? Do you trust them after the second week for a week after week roster on your spot? And some of these players didn't have a great week. So on that list, I've got Jared Goff, 334 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, played against his old coach at Chicago, and he just lit it up, just destroyed Chicago. Anybody have thoughts of, is this something we expect to see week in and week out from Goff or not?
No.
No
one's going to throw that many touchdowns every week. But I like Goff. Yeah, no, strictly that is ridiculous. 5 touchdowns a week. That's not going to happen. I mean, Goff's still going to ball out. He's got the advantage of having the pass catching running back, which helps him to get the extra, sort of like a cheat code. Like Jahmyr Gibbs is a cheat code for Goff and for fantasy owners, so he can get that little stuff out of the backfield. He's got really good receivers there, and who would have seen the rookie coming up and stepping up? Tesla just doing always doing good enough to be that serviceable third guy. So now he's got 4 receivers, a great running back, and Montgomery's probably going to show up at some point this year to be, to take some of this stuff. So he's got.
And the 2 tight ends both got 4 targets as well.
Yeah.
So
when you have that type of offense just reeling in all cylinders, you can afford to spread the wealth a little bit. I think a lot of people were skeptical because, Detroit's playing against their old head coach, and they know the entire Detroit Lions team so well. And then for them to just get obliterated like that, it was like, ooh. Why isn't Goff on people's rosters yet? Because in a lot of leagues I've seen, he's not taken. He's still out there. Tua, another name. We thought last week, put a fork in him. He's done. The whole team is gone. Puts up 315 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Yes, he has an interception, but it felt like maybe there's some little life left in the Dolphins. I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Susan?
I just would not touch it. I'm worried that it is going to be way too boom bust. I mean, he's overthrowing his receivers. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw the videos of Tyreek.
I did.
Being like, come on. So that is not something that for me, I am willing to touch. And I think there might be a culture problem when your head coach says to win games, you have to win the game. There's I don't know. He doesn't feel super invested anymore. The vibes are not good in Miami, so I just don't want to touch it.
Did I mention I'm a Dolphins fan?
Yeah.
Did I mention that Thursday night I'm going to put a bag on my head? They're playing the Bills. If the Jets got obliterated, there is.
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins are better than the Jets, but the Patriots aren't that great. Drake May's an ascending thing. They're an ascending player. But he's going to have. I think you hit it right. There's good. Look at the opponents. I think he's fine to stream against lower opponents, but this week against the Bills, no.
Hands off.
No.
I agree with the sentiment you guys have. Is I haven't seen good enough body of work yet to believe that what happened in week 2 for Tua is going to be indicative of what we see in the future. I'm like, hands off. No, there are better options out there. I'm leaving him where he's at, and hopefully he's not on your roster at home, because I would probably be looking for other options as well. But Bryce Young, that was a little bit of a surprise to see him actually come to life a little bit there, getting a lot of people involved, including the rookie. He had 328 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, but they were at least moving the ball a little bit more than we saw in week 1. Do we see that going anywhere? Is it just a 1-week fluke?
So Arizona had 4 starting teams on their defense. It was the secondary and the defensive line that went down.
Yeah.
They were not able to keep defending against Bryce Young. They were pulling back. I don't see this one necessarily going anywhere either after last week. Maybe he'll shake the jitters off. I would need to see it proven for 2 weeks in a row before I start heading that direction as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like the Cardinals wanted to lose that game. They were up, and then Arizona just let them play, run all over them. But again, maybe it's because their defense got so hurt they didn't really have the option. But it did not go well.
Right.
For Arizona, the later
a little
half
closer
of the game.
than I expected for sure.
Well,
Adam,
it wasn't necessarily close. The Panthers came on right at the end, like those last couple of drives. It's like, whoa, this is but it was garbage time that turned out to almost mean something. I'm like, we record our podcast after the 4:00 games, and I was texting Jason going, "Oh, dude, hold on. Panthers might win this game." And that last drive was just garbage. But they were pushing on the Cardinals defense. Isn't anything to write home about anyway. Like I thought, and some of us thought that with the first couple of opponents they would be lights out, but nope. They looked about as good as some of the other terrible defenses that are out there. And Bryce Young, he's a wait and see. I think, to be honest, he might be right there looking at like a step maybe above Tua, sort of in that same realm. I think Tua at his peak, Tua's got, I think, a higher ceiling because he's got all those weapons. Yeah. Bryce Young, you could stream going, I hope he does well, but I think they're very comparable kind of ideas. Neither of them do I want as my QB1 and one quarterback for sure. 2 quarterbacks, it depends what's there. You might have to because of where the world sets, but it's scary.
Bryce does have at least somewhat of a little tiny bit of a rushing floor sometimes, where he will take off and scramble every now and then, where Tua doesn't really have that at all.
And it's still a very young team there, Carolina, too. I mean, the receiver core is very young. They've gotten rid of all of the depth that they had, all the senior leadership on the receiving side. I thought I was encouraged the fact that he has the passing ability, but I don't know that he's actually being supported right now the way he needs to be successful. But for him to at least put up some numbers that are noteworthy, I thought, well, maybe there's a chance down the road. If you're in a dynasty league, I'm just thinking, keep your options open. Just wait and see what plays out. I think there were some other. Yeah, nice. I think there were some other notables. I just want to call these out real quick because we talked about this first one as being one of those possible takes that maybe they're gonna have a breakout season. That was Odunze from Chicago. He went 7 for 11, 128, 2 touchdowns. The joke was early in the season, it's like, well, maybe you can have 1,200 yards as that pipe dream, but this is well on the way to getting there. But this, I think, was also driven because of the matchup, and they were down by so much. I don't know. He looks like he might have been starting to turn the corner, being the alpha there. I don't know. Wan'Dale Robinson, again, I mentioned the Giants and their game with the Cowboys just being a shootout. Robinson had 142 yards receiving, and he didn't even lead his own team in receiving yardage. That's how much of a high-scoring game that was. But anybody have a share of Wan'Dale on their team right now?
No, but he's I have one, and I was too scared to start him this week. I will probably be starting. He's on a dynasty roster of mine. But yeah, he had 8 targets week 1, and you're like, I don't know, is that sticky? And he had 10 targets this week. That feels pretty sticky to me. And the situation I compare it to is Now, it was a bad example this week because they were not good this week as a fantasy options, but I compare it to London and Mooney. Last season, Mooney was able to be a good option because defenses knew that they had to be taking out London. So they were putting their best corner on Drake London, which gave Mooney the opportunity. I think we're going to see a lot of that type of play with this Giants team. And if Russ keeps slinging it, I mean, you're gonna want a piece of the offense if he's gonna keep throwing the ball the way that he is.
We had Russ on that list of quarterbacks last week of like not good. Maybe we put in darts, and he did come up for a few plays. But Adam, what's your take on the Wan'Dale Robinson situation there and Russ Wilson?
I always say targets are what you look for, but he's also Wan'Dale Robinson. And the question that I get every week now that I write for the Fantasy Pros is who's the guy you're selling high and who are guys you're buying low. And I just wrote the Giants players not named Neighbors because I'm not trading Neighbors. There's no way, barring the ranch. But I said, you got Russ. He threw up that many yards. You got Wan'Dale there. They both balled out. Do I think Wan'Dale's going to bust out for 142 yards again this year? Probably not. Do I think you can use him to upgrade to like a receiver higher? Yes. Would I play him if I had him? These days, I don't know. He might get 30 yards. Yeah, it's like for season I'll play him this week. But
I mean, who saw the high scoring affair between the Cowboys and Giants? I mean, now I would be on the bandwagon of, well, who plays against the Giants and who plays against the Cowboys? Maybe I insert the receivers who play against them. That might be the thought process now because they had such explosive offenses. There was very little defense being played. So
what's interesting though is the Giants defensive front is very good. So the fact that Dak was able to sling it the way that he was as well.
Yeah.
I will be very interested to see how they go moving forward.
Yeah. And that's when we still keep coming back to our audience and saying, guys, it's only week 2. We don't know. So I'm not sure the teams know themselves either at this point. One person who did get drafted pretty much across the board in some fashion was Ramondre Stevenson from New England. He had only 54 yards rushing, but he also had 88 yards receiving on 5 catches. So he's getting play time. He's getting the touches.
Leading receiver on the team this week.
Yes, exactly.
Leading receiver on the team this week.
And he didn't have a very good week 1 either by the numbers. Everybody's hyping up Henderson, and then all of a sudden we get not much from New England across the board. And then Ramondre puts up a week like that. It's like, did it make you turn your head for a second? I don't know.
So, sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, no. I was going to say, he looks strong. He's coming out. Like, watch him. He's Ramondre. We had that great season where, like, yes, I was on the Ramondre train coming in just because of location, time, and everything, like years ago. I was like, yes, he was one of my guys. You always have those guys you can brag about. Then everybody's like, oh, Travion Henderson's coming in. And now we're looking at like, Henderson didn't do diddly squat, but Ramondre didn't do very much until this week. But then again, it's the Dolphins. Remember that. It's the Dolphins. Patriots are, but he did better than Henderson. But I mean, I benched Ramondre, so I will they let Henderson get some touches, or will they play with Ramondre? It should be a 2-headed monster that you're both playing. So it's
the one thing I do want to say is when I was going through just seeing roster percentages, the fantasy footballer said something about Ramondre only being 60% rostered, and I was like, that can't be right. And sure enough, I went and I looked. He is a starting running back in the NFL. He should be on someone's roster. So if Ramondre is out in your league, which in 4 of 10 leagues, redraft leagues, on Sleeper he is, go get him. You don't have to play him, but he should be on rosters 100%.
Yeah, I would agree. You go after the starter or the RB1 of the team or the wide receiver 1 of the team. You try to avoid the number 2 person on the depth charts. But yeah, all right, let's move on. I'm going to skip the last person we had on our list because I think we kind of hammered the Bryce Young topic. So I don't want to talk too much about Jatavian Sanders quite yet necessarily, but he had a good game. Wanted to call it out. But I think as Bryce goes, so do all the other talent around him. But let's talk about waiver wires. And with all the blunder of week 2, the difficulty becomes a matter of determining who's worthy of picking up or who is just that 1 or 2 week wonder. Your situation at home would likely dictate who or if you should even pick up some of these players. But there are a lot of options still out there in most leagues that are rostered probably under 50%. So we've drawn up a list by positions of who we think might be worthy of looking at, maybe not. We did talk about a couple of these already in prior weeks or even today. So Daniel Jones, from quarterback from Indianapolis. These are all quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, Tua, Mac Jones from San Francisco, Jake Browning from Cincinnati, and of course Jared Goff. So we were talked about a few of these things, but I was a little surprised to see some of these not being rostered very much. Any of those stick out in your mind of who you would take? I know we talked about Daniel Jones. He had a blowout week 1, and he had a pretty solid week 2. So any of those stick out in your mind about somebody you would keep or take in waivers?
The one that popped out to me is Mac Jones. The first quarter looked a little questionable, but he came out once he settled in, got back into playing rhythm. He took Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was fine. Jennings had almost 20 points in a PPR format. Pearsall was still startable. So if those assets are able to score, then you can expect your quarterback to get 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Which is what we're looking for in a quarterback that isn't going to kill your week. So I definitely think that Mac Jones can be there and do that. And I made a video on my Instagram about the whole Jake Browning situation. If people want to go look at that, I think that he could be serviceable as well, even if you're not the Joe Burrow manager.
Yeah. And we saw that in prior seasons where Jake Browning was quite serviceable in replacement of Joe Burrow when he's missed considerable time. What I saw, 2% roster Jake Browning. If you're a Chase owner, yeah, I think you're still in good company. I don't think you have to worry about getting the ball fed to you. Adam, any of these quarterbacks stand out in your list?
I mean, I'm leading the bandwagon for Danny Dimes. Daniel Jones is he's a running quarterback. No matter what we think about Daniel Jones in general, he is a running quarterback, and I think that's something we need to keep an eye on for him. I mean, he didn't score it like he went crazy before, but he did great. Jake Browning is a guy. He was part of the. I got a Burrows trade in the offseason. I was like, I don't want Jake Browning. He's just going to be roster fodder because I'm still trying to figure out who to drop. Well, I'd like to have that roster fodder. Luckily, my quarterbacks are okay and I'll survive. But he did throw 3 interceptions to the Jaguars in that stellar defense. So maybe it's rust. We'll see how it pans out as he's going forward. So, yes, I mean, on that, you mentioned golf. If golf is not on a team in your league, that's just silly. Danny Dimes is on there. Yeah. I mean, that's
it might be an 8-team league or something where golf would not be where golf would not be.
And I was surprised to see him, but yeah, I agree. So again, for the audience at home, quarterbacks that are noteworthy, perhaps worth looking into yourselves: Daniel Jones, Wilson, Tua, Mac Jones, Jake Browning, and Goff. Let's move on to the running back situation. We have a smaller list for everybody tonight. And some of these guys may already be rostered up, but if not, take a look at these guys. Tyler Algier from Atlanta, Bashal Tutin from Jacksonville, Blake Corum from the Rams, and Kenneth Gainwell from Philadelphia. That's an interesting one, too. Any of those stick out in your mind, or you guys leave them alone?
I would be looking at Algier. Oh, sorry. I'd be looking at Algier. He took a touchdown from Bijan in their game this week versus the Vikings. They got down there, and I don't know Bijan just needed a rest or something, but they gave Algier the goal line work. And so the likelihood that you're going to get it, and he seems to get touchdowns fairly frequently. I mean, Bijan had like almost 150 yards in the game. So, and he was catching passes. He looked amazing. And the split was like 66-33. So you're going to get work. Algier is a possible standalone guy with upside. Should something happen to Bijan, knock on wood, it doesn't. But should something happen, you have a really great option there. And he is only 33% rostered on Sleeper right now. So he's definitely available.
Sorry, I'm reading our side notes. Corey just talked about Geno Smith. But yeah.
Yeah, it was embarrassing, Corey. Absolutely embarrassing.
I can't
Geno Smith love? No,
no,
Corey.
Killed me. Algier looks good there. The problem we always have with these guys that we're looking at here, these cusp guys, do you need that roster spot? So I think you always say, if you need that roster spot, like Kenneth Gainwell is down in Pittsburgh, it looks like Caleb Johnson's going to be absolutely nothing. Looks like he got benched. He's going to be benched because he screwed up on the kickoff. He's gotten
my gosh, that's so embarrassing. That was so embarrassing.
But
I feel bad for him. But that was bad.
Yeah, Tootin's the guy I'm monitoring here. Tank Bixby was supposedly the bee's knees down in I'm 80 years old now. It's supposedly the bee's knees down in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And they traded him. They just got rid of him. Like everybody's like, ETN's in trouble. Tank. Nope. But I played this game with Virginia Tech running back. Sorry, my one guy supporting me here is a big Tech fan. I hope he exceptions, But I think he's getting some touches gradually each week, and he could be I'm assuming he is the reason that Tank was traded like that.
I think so. I think it was.
And so he's the guy I'm really monitoring because of these guys we mentioned, he could overtake number one. Algier will not be the number one running back, barring Bijan has something terrible happen. Tootin could be number one. Blake Corum, still don't trust him. Gainwell, he's going to be a committee guy because that's what they're going to do there with him and Warren. I think he's going to be a good, like, if you're trifling, he's on your waiver wire. I'd probably pick him up if you need a running back. He might be the most useful. Him and Tootin.
Yeah, and all these guys that we've talked about, Algier, Tootin, Corum, Gainwell, they're deep. I mean, like, you're talking RB 29 to 43. So they're way down there on the list of people. So we know that there are probably a lot of fantasy owners who are having to scratch the bottom of the barrel at this point in time. I saw the Tootin play where he scored that touchdown, and that looked just nasty, the move that he put on the defense. And it's like, okay, maybe we've got something here with the rookie, I think for myself, it's going to be more of that wait and see approach. I think if you've got a dynasty team, if you're in a dynasty league, yeah, you go after somebody like Tootin and see what happens.
Those guys are gone. They're not on team. You're not getting them.
Yeah, if he's still there, get him. I would say pick him up. But Algier, that was actually interesting to watch the utilization between Bijan and Algier. I thought maybe they were just kind of giving Bijan a rest because you got a workhorse, you got to make him last the whole season. But he was quite
so far ahead.
And Algier was quite serviceable. Absolutely. Oh, we got another running back option out here. Let me put it in here. You're talking about Woody Marks from Houston. He's available in some leagues. Actually, I think he's available in all of my leagues. But went Tootin.
I'd go Tootin over Marks for sure.
I would too.
And
but
you
it's
can
only
drop
because,
Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it is that there are really no good options right now in that Houston backfield. Yes, Chubb broke away for a good touchdown run, but that's not something you see consistent. He used to just find that hole and run for long gains at a time that you could not stop Nick Chubb. Woody would get in there to spell him some relief.
The problem, there is no hole for Nick Chubb to run in because the offensive line is terrible.
Did you watch him run though? He looked like a grandpa. Like I was watching, it was like his legs were sort of. I was that 21-yard run. They were watching him run because they wanted him to score because they were trying to get. That was about all the hope they really had. But if you watched him run, it was like watching him wobble down there. I was like, dude, what's going on with Chubb? I was like, yay, he got a point and almost cost me a game. But
and Chubb is going to make some people say, oh, maybe I should get Chubb on my team now because look what he did, But I think right now that you have to look at it for what it's worth, and I think there is too much chaos happening at Houston. They can't even move the ball that well consistently. That I'm not sure how many people are viable starters on that team for fantasy's sake.
Adams touched the ball 4 times. Woody Marks touched the ball 4 times. Not enough to jump up yet. That's sort of where it is. Like apparently Pierce made him mad because I heard a lot of talk. Like I was all on the Pierce train. A lot of talk before the season. Like Pierce is going to step up. Finally, this is the system for him. It's the kind of blocking, blah, 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 blah. And scratch. Nothing like 2 touches maybe the first week or something, 2 plays or something like that. And then scratch. And then Woody Marks. I mean, the lines, they're not, you don't want any of these guys.
Interestingly, we're not even talking about Mixon at this point in time. We don't know what's going on with Mixon. And so you have no idea what's going to go on with that backfield in the short term or long term. This could turn into a CMC thing all over again from last year. So, okay, let's move on from the running back situation. Some new faces, some familiar faces on this list, but let's get into somebody we've already talked about, Wan'Dale Robinson. We've already talked about him. Great one game, week 2, maybe some volume there, but DeAndre Hopkins finally popped up on the touchdown end of things. Troy Franklin from Denver, we've talked about him, but he's still only 5% rostered, and he's had a pretty good season thus far. Romeo Doubs from Green Bay, and Alec Ayumaner from Tennessee. Now they're thinking maybe he's the go-to guy at Tennessee instead of Ridley. But again, it's Tennessee. What do you guys make of this receiver list?
I just went looking through my leagues. Apparently, I'm in a league with guys that are good at football. There's no Wan'Dale. There's one Wan'Dale. And guess which league Wan'Dale's available in? Fantasy Turf War.
Can I see Turf War?
This one. He's on. I just went. He's available. So if you have a waiver wire priority, I don't know where to put him, but we talked about Alec on Sunday. I think if you're a dynasty guy, that's where you're gonna look at Alec. I think you're not gonna get the consistency you want out of him on this list. Honestly, Wan'Dale's the guy you're gonna grab. He's the Quentin Johnston of the week. He's the guy you're gonna want to snag up. D-Hop week 1 had this. Did you see the touchdown catch week 1? It was beautiful. I was like, oh my goodness. But of these guys, it's Troy Franklin. If you got to pick one, Romeo Doubs is on a team full of wide receiver 2s. I love him. He's talented. I think but Troy Franklin is getting the targets. He got 9 targets this week. I just lost all my numbers here. He got 9 targets this week. Last week, I think it was reload 6.
Yeah.
It was 6 last week and 9 this week. And he's maybe it just took him getting used to the offense. The yards aren't there, but the targets will lead to the yards, I think. And he is Bo Nix's college receiver. So maybe Bo's like, hey, I'm going to hit you up. Cortland Sutton apparently doesn't play football anymore. Speaking of a guy that was on my team,
he had
Cortland
4
Sutton
targets. Sutton had
don't know what's happening to Sutton.
Targets.
Sutton was supposed to be the number 1 dog there, and now I'm not sure what is what at Denver at this point.
Sutton did this with Russ as well sometimes.
Yeah.
He would get the targets and then he would disappear. I think we should take a victory lap on Franklin last week because we were telling people to pick up Franklin
We did.
last week. And he the sleeper roster percentage that I saw is now up to 10%. So some people maybe who have like open waivers or something were able to grab him. But yeah, the target percentage is great. And so go get Troy Franklin. He is going to be the number 1 there. I mean, he was this week. So
any takes on Ayumaner from Tennessee? I've heard a lot of hype around him in the last few days. He's only 8% rostered. So it means pretty much nobody's heard of him before until this past weekend. He had some good volume, but Do we still fear that Cam Ward's not quite the quarterback we want him to have in order to trust the receiver from there? Or do you stash this guy and see what happens?
What's tricky to me with Isle Manor is that he had 6 targets, Ridley had 6 targets, and Chig Okonkwo, their tight end, had 6 targets. In fact, those 6 targets, I had Chig on my tight end waiver wire list.
Yes.
Because all 3 of them had 6 targets, and I think it's going to be tricky to know who's going to get it what day. And maybe this is another duo where teams are going to focus on Ridley and open up the field for Isle Manor to get some targets. He's young, he's explosive. I definitely would be picking up Dobbs, definitely Franklin, definitely Robinson, maybe Dobbs over him as well, because Dobbs has the floor. I mean, the Green Bay has lost a receiver, so targets are starting to consolidate, right? So Dobbs is going to end up being probably their number one. No, Tucker Kraft is going to be the number 1 receiver there, but Dobbs is going to probably be the number 1 wide receiver in that team. So I would be picking up. That would be my order: Franklin, Robinson, Dobbs, and then Isle Manor.
Yep, we got a thumbs up from Adam.
I mean, yeah, Dobbs has a floor.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. I don't want to be.
I think any Green Bay receiver at this point has a floor. I mean, I drafted Golden thinking he's going to emerge from this group, and I have not seen that happen yet. He's got tools, no doubt, but Golden just doesn't get the touches at this point for me to look that way much more. So I'm still going to go with
I think
Love.
he just needs some time.
Yeah, and probably that could be the case as well. I'm still going to go with Love as being the person you want out of that, followed right neck and neck with Kraft. Kraft just had a monster game. I had
he had
him
a
on
baby.
one
He had to
team.
show off.
Oh, well, that
so did JJ McCarthy, though.
That's true. Yeah.
That baby wasn't at the game.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
the baby has to be at the game.
He won't be
We're talking about juju and good luck things that have to happen here.
JJ, bring your baby. You'll play again.
Please, everybody, bring your new babies to the game. But when they do,
I'm going to do some research
on them. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to do some research correlation between new baby and performance. Showing off.
That's awesome. We'll be interested in hearing the results of that. Speaking of which, the results of your team name contest. I know.
Oh yes.
Let's talk about that.
The team name that won was Wham Bam Thank You Lamb.
Well played.
And then the second place was Imagine losing to a girl.
Oh no.
So it was pretty close, but Wham Bam Thank You Lamb is the one that won.
Listen to last week's show, everybody. That was pretty fun, pretty interesting towards the end of the show. Go back to last week's show and watch that. But there was a lot of clever team names in there. So thanks for sharing that, Susan. Let's talk about tight ends. We covered tight ends last week, and we pulled out 3 of them. And wouldn't you know it, Juwan Johnson from New Orleans is still not rostered on so many leagues. I was floored by it. And it's like, I think I probably should have taken him over keeping Engram on my team from Denver because I see no heartbeat taking place yet there. So I might be looking for a new tight end for 1 or 2 of my teams. So Juwan Johnson from New Orleans, Zach Ertz from Washington, tight end 3 this past week. And then, of course, from Carolina, Jatavian Sanders. Did not get much love the first week, not much action, but he had a pretty decent week, but only rostered 2%. Any of those 3 tight ends stick out in your minds?
Johnson.
Yeah, he's available in almost half of the league still.
Yeah. I am concerned about Zach Ertz's situation, and it's not because of his ability. It's because of the question mark at quarterback right now. It pained me to see Jaden Daniels go down or try to hobble through the last of the game. I know he wanted to put the Superman cape on and try to finish it. I have Jaden Daniels on a couple of my teams, and so fortunately, I've got Love as my backup quarterback, number 10 from Packers.
Good Cowboys
I
fan.
know. I see you wearing the wrong colored jersey there.
I know. I had to show some love to my team because I might have to play him this week. So I am a little concerned about Zach's situation because we don't know what's going to happen with Daniels at the quarterback spot. The smart thing would be make sure he's healthy so he doesn't injure something worse. So we hope that he's going to be in good standing for the season. But for the life of me, I couldn't even tell you who the backup quarterback would be at Washington. I don't know because we were thinking Daniels the whole season, and I'm thinking backups in some of these places.
It's the number 2 draft pick from a while ago. It's Marcus Mariota.
Again,
Mariota.
Tennessee,
the old Oregon Duck.
For Oregon Duck. So yeah, Mariota.
He might be okay. Mariota he's not.
Oh, some shade on the receiver front. Mercy.
This was fantasy finish, though, right? Not
it
just
is.
like.
It is finished.
Okay. You didn't watch the opening.
How you start. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm on the same page as you guys with this. That Juwan Johnson still available. Have a leagues. Go get him. Ertz, once Daniels comes back, you can start talking about it. One thing to point out, though, is Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys, again, kind of like Stevenson, only rostered in 65% of sleeper leagues. That is too low. In the Dallas offense, Dak and Jake Ferguson are like this. When Dak needs an out, Ferguson is usually in the flat, in the middle of the field, ready to get 7 or 8 yards and lay down. So he's a PPR machine. The other person I wanted to bring up is Isaiah Likely. He is only 27% rostered right now, and he is out because of an injury. I saw one report today that said he may be back for week 3. That's going to be really important for the Ravens. He is practicing. He's out doing individual drills. And so there is a small chance that he could be picked. He could play this week. Personally, I would rather get him for cheap and hold on to him for a week, stick him in my IR spot. If you have them, then be the person scrambling to get him after he has a good week.
So you're saying that Baltimore team likely he could play this week?
It is like,
but
yes.
Tell the dad joke the whole time.
Wow, he's probably been waiting all week for that one, probably. But I got Mark Andrews on my team, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, he's the only show in town at the tight end spot, and he's going to have some great weeks coming up. He pulled the same stuff on us last year. Slow start, got to the point I almost dumped him, and I'm glad I didn't. But now it's like, okay, well, at least I've got Kraft on my team as well. Guess who I'm playing, So anybody who's got Mark Andrews on your team, you're probably in the same pickle that many people are of, gee, do you play him? Do you find a backup? If you can find a backup, my recommendation is roll the dice with it because you haven't seen much out of Andrews yet, and I'm kind of in that wait-and-see attitude when it comes to him again compared to last season. Same situation again.
Well, and Fannin from last week is also, he was a tight end 1. He was number tight end 12. It wasn't great, but he still finished as a top 12 tight end. He is also only 66% rostered still after all of the hype from last week from pretty much everybody in the fantasy industry being like, hey, you should go pick up Harold Fannin. He is still only 66% rostered, so you can check your waiver wire for him as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody thought that Flacco would get benched. Did I see that correctly, that they're going to go with the number 2 guy now, or is that was just that one game?
I did not get to watch that game, so I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So I would say
He's
for anybody,
Adam is researching.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep an eye on that situation for any of the Cleveland players for that matter. But you know what? One guy who stood out of finally getting the play is Judkins. They were going to keep him on a snap count, running back for Cleveland. Judkins finally got the play, put up some interesting yards, but again, he's from Cleveland, so don't necessarily, just don't necessarily mortgage the farm to go get him on your rosters, but more of that wait and see attitude as well. But again, it is Cleveland.
Yeah, it's nothing right now. Flacco is still the de facto quarterback.
Yeah.
Gabriel was just put in because they were just getting obliterated. Flacco wasn't happy about it. But yeah, I mean, Gabriel kept throwing him a boy, Dylan Sampson, who's going to disappear off the face of the planet Earth. I have a fear.
You never know.
And by the way, good Gridiron Goddess had a sneaky trade earlier in the season. She's now got a little Judkins on her fantasy turf war team. You rolled the dice. Rolled the dice. That was a dice.
You never know, guys. You never know.
Yeah.
You could have said the same
I
thing.
traded him away on a dynasty roster in a trade that included me getting Breece Hall, which I was feeling pretty good about week 1. Not so good this week.
You never know. But the person who doesn't take the chances, you're going to be perhaps just spinning wheels for a while. You just don't know. Let's go into our segment with Little Jimmy. Last week, we started a new segment of Start and Sit, and we have a coin that Adam is showing on the screen called Little Jimmy. And thanks again to Tank Talk Podcast for the inspiration for this segment. So every week, you might have a couple players, you just can't figure out who to choose. And so to alleviate the pressure, we've encouraged you to use our Start and Sit coin with our character called Little Jimmy. Flip him. Whatever he lands on, you do that with the player. If it goes well, awesome. But if it's not your fault. Little Jimmy told you to do it. So you can get your Little Jimmy Start and Sit coin at fantasyturf4.com or message any of us on social media and we'll get you connected. It is only $5 plus shipping, and it goes directly to supporting the team. Last week, we did Little Jimmy flip on Devontae Adams. Anybody want to recap Devontae's week? Was it the right thing to choose to play him or not?
Yes, it was.
Don't have the stats pulled up, but it was good.
Little
he was
Jimmy,
the target leader. He was the target leader for the
Jimmy.
Rams last week.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the thing. When I saw Puka having,
yards,
exactly. When I saw Puka having a pretty good game starting off, I was like, whoa, maybe Little Jimmy was wrong on this one, but he came through.
13 targets for Devontae Adams.
Monster target.
6 yards of a touchy.
So for everybody this
Jimmy.
week, our Little Jimmy contest is now with Travis Hunter from Jacksonville. For the season, 9 receptions on 14 targets, 55 yards. Okay, that only gets him wide receiver 61, but he is home against Houston in week 3. And if you're looking to compare him with other people in that same tier area, you're looking at people like Khalil Shakir, Terry McLaurin, Malik Washington, Josh Downs. So maybe not great players there, but if anybody saw the game on Sunday, they were trying to use him a little bit more. So flip the coin. Let's see what Little Jimmy says about Travis Hunter.
You ready? And
do it.
Oh, Little Jimmy is a wise soul. He says, "Set Travis Hunter."
Sit Travis Hunter. Susan, do you believe Little Jimmy? Or are you going to play him if you got him?
Yeah, I will probably sit him. He had the 14 targets. That's total targets so far. Not necessarily. That's for the season. He had 6 targets in the game. What I worry about this week is that they're playing Houston. Houston can't move the ball. The game's going to be low scoring. They're going to be able to. Jacksonville is going to be able to run the ball with Etienne and Tootin. I don't think they're going to need Hunter. So I worry about how much action he's going to actually get, just because he's going to end up being game scripted out because they're not going to need him. So of the list of guys, I'm not starting Malik Washington over him because, sorry, Adam, the Dolphins can't do anything.
Unless it's a kick return.
Khalil Shakir, Buffalo is hard because they spread it out so much. I mean,
do.
Keon Coleman had that great first week and then like nothing this week.
Miami Dolphins.
So
Miami Dolphins.
that one's hard. That one's hard. Josh Downs, I would start over him for sure. Scary Terry, I think he's gonna have to be an outlet for Mariota if he's not playing. So I think he's right. I think little Jimmy's gonna be right to sit Travis Hunter this week.
I don't want to start any of those guys.
out of those guys, if I had to absolutely choose one, I would probably go with Scary Terry out of Washington. But again, it's going to be quarterback dependent would be my answer. If Daniels was playing, then I would play McLaurin over Hunter if I had to make that choice. Fortunately, I do not have to make that choice. I think also that it would be a good time to not play Travis Hunter quite yet. They had an injury in the on the defensive side of the ball on Sunday's game, and so they were going to have to pull Hunter and have him play more defense as well. So I know we're going to see the highlight reel at some point in time that's going to showcase his ability, but I know it's so difficult being two-way players to really excel at both at this level of the game. So there you have it. Little Jimmy says sit Travis Hunter, and so we're going to see if that was true next week. Okay. Anything in the chat room that we want to flash on a board and debate?
I think we hit it all going through.
I think we did too.
I think so.
And Corey still, again, no Geno Smith, no love for that. I mean, that last night, and for anybody who stayed up to watch the whole game, congratulations. That was a really late start. When I knew it was going to start at 10 o'clock my time, oh my gosh! Like no, I'll watch part of the first half or quarter, whatever I can manage, and I'm done at that point in time. But not surprised when I saw the end score when I looked at it in the box scores this morning. All right, so let us talk about something here, which is always my PSA, my public service announcement, is that anything that we talk about on this show, those are just our perspectives and opinions. And I'm always going to tell you, do your own research, form your own opinion. Just don't take our word for it. There is so much out there to be learned. We're not going to have all the answers for you. And it is early in the season, so take it for what it's worth. Now, it is our trivia time. If you watched Fantasy Turf War live before, you know we have a weekly contest going on right now. And all you need to do is email your answer as well as your name to fantasyturf4@gmail.com. You've got till Sunday night to enter it. So we're going to put all the correct answers, and we're gonna pull all those, and we're going to draw a winner and then announce it on Tuesday's show tonight, where we're going to ask the next question. So last week's question was, which NFL player set the record for most fantasy points in a single game using standard scoring? Did either of you guys know the answer to this one before I tell everybody?
I looked it up.
I didn't. I didn't.
I forgot about it.
I thought it might have been the Josh Allen crazy game a couple seasons ago, but
my brain said Jamar Chase. I actually did know. I played football this year.
I actually did know the answer. The correct answer is Clinton Portis, who scored 55.4 points in a single game back in 2003. He put up 218 yards rushing, 36 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's a monster game. That's incredible. 55.4. We had 26 entries last week. The commission put all the correct answers together and randomly selected a winner. Yet we have another week in, week out winner who watches us, Kara Bassett. Congratulations, Kara. You are the second winner of the season. Corey's going to be reaching out to you to get you your package, although that's kind of funny because I know that you've got them all at your house. So on to this week's question. What is the maximum number of players allowed on the field for one team during a play? So again, it's a pretty easy question unless you're from Kansas City. Might be a little tricky. What is the maximum number of players allowed on the field for one play during the game? Remember, email your answer as well as your name to fantasyturf4@gmail.com.
There you go.
Okay.
Um,
Anybody who's not from Kansas City have any questions about this?
Sharon?
I do
All
want
right,
to. I want to pop this up real quick. Just
Yeah.
Sharon, no, don't do that.
Oh.
Don't do that.
Oh, that's a gut wrencher.
That's a decline.
Preseason.
Okay. Sorry, I had to get that in there for her.
No,
Chase
that's what we're here for. Advice. What would you do? Trades or starting people or sitting people? Ooh. Now that would be hard. That would be hard to try to muster. It is without a doubt enticing to say another starting running back and a decent or viable receiver, but my price for Derrick Henry has got to be pretty high to make me jump on that one.
But he only had 3 points. Come on.
1 week. Look at the week before.
Oh, I know.
Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us. But if you feel like you got value out of this show, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share the show with everybody you know. Bring a friend next time. Susan, where can we find you?
All right, my handle's right here on TikTok, Instagram, or thegridirongoddess.com if you want to look at some of my merch, stuff like this.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I'm excited to be here, and hopefully week 3 will go a little better. Good luck with your claims, everybody.
Yes. And Adam, how do we find you?
Fantasy Couriers Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to see our handsome faces, it's on YouTube as well. But go to fantasycouriers.com. Links for everything are on there. You can see my weekly rankings. I forgot to post last week's stories. It was a week, so it's usually two articles a week I get to contribute to on Fantasy Pros. And cool news, after week 1, accuracy scores have showed up this week. I was the number 8 running back guy, so I was like, that's pretty good for week 1.
Wow.
Just because I had Javonte higher than everybody in the world. That's what saved my butt, I'm sure. I'm not gonna. If I don't brag, that means it's been a rough week. I'm not that great at it. I like the articles more than the ranking stuff. I'm not. Well, I like the ranking, but I am not. I'm working on it. I'm learning. It's a learning process because of the way they score. It's kind of it's an interesting scoring system. But yeah, number 8 running backs. Ooh.
And before I sign out,
awesome.
Make sure you're checking out our pages for the week 2 league updates video. It comes directly from Corey. So that's coming shortly here. He thinks it's going to be out tomorrow. If you want to see some new video from Antarctica, you'll want to make sure you've turned on notifications. And also go back and check out last week's video from Corey's Frozen Beard. There's tons more coming out this year. Interviews with businesses in the league, more contests, merch, giveaways, so much more. I also saw that the division determiners, the Twisted Tetris, those videos are all out there now. So I actually was watching the second installment and the third installments of those videos that were out there. Pretty interesting. I was featured in one of them. Let me tell you, that was pretty torturous to try to get through playing Tetris and trivia at the same time. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
you have no idea. But again, go out to the site. I usually pull it up on YouTube and I look at all the videos from past episodes and so forth. But good stuff there. And of course, I am Cameron Bassett, supporting Shelter Dogs for Veterans, and you can find me here on Fantasy Turf War Live every Tuesday. And as Corey, our commish, closes out each week, be excellent to each other, be kind, and until next time, keep moving forward. See you.